This week, the HPT crowns a champion from the Indigo Sky Casino in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. Everyone had a great time as Eastern Oklahoma's newest gaming destination showed off their new hotel, restaurants, and full gaming floor. As always, our final table started with the Elite 9 from this field, and now we're down to 5 players remaining. They're ready to battle for the coveted HPT championship and almost $60,000.
This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gonna cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello and welcome again to the HPT, where this week we crown a champion from the Indigo Sky Casino in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. I am Fred Bevel. The pretty lady to my left is Maria Ho. And Maria, when this final table started, we thought it had all the pieces required for intense drama and high-flying action, and so far, it hasn't disappointed.
No, this final table has been filled with bad beats and coolers. As always, we started with the Elite 9 from the field, and this week we'll grind down to a champion with 5 players left. Alan Kessler was the first to be eliminated in 9th place after his pocket kings were 4-flushed down the toilet. Then Gary German was eliminated in 8th place when Eric Bishop flopped a set of 9s against Gary's ace-queen. A few hands later, Mike White woke up with pocket jacks, got it all in, and lost the flip to Sean Roberts' king-queen, sending him to the rail in 7th.
Worst bad beat of the table so far has to belong to Cash Carpenter. Cash put all of his chips in the middle after he flopped top set with pocket 8s. He was called by Chris Wagner's pocket 6s and looking great to double up and catapult himself up the chip ladder until the 7 fell on the river, hitting Chris's gut shot straight draw. Cash left in 6th place and cash for just under 10 grand.
Bill Donnelly and Sean Roberts have been the steady chip leaders so far, and both are playing great poker. Now that we're in the final stages of the final table, I expect these two to drive the action the rest of the way. All of these players have gamble in them, and they all have the game to be our newest HPT champion. This is far from over.
A lot of poker yet to be played. Let's take a look at the money on the line and the updated chip counts and get right to the action.
The remaining players are eyeing that top prize of $52,000 and change, but our 5th place finisher will go home today with just over $11,000.
Great payday for the 5 remaining. Here is the updated chip count as we continue 5-handed on the road to a champion.
It looks like it's really anybody's game. As you can see, there aren't really any short stacks. Eric Bishop is our chip leader with $880,000, but Mark Martin, who's on the bottom of the chip counts, still has $645,000 to play with.
Yeah, you can see it's very tight. The top stack and the bottom stack are only separated by about $240,000. Blinds continuing on at this final table, 5-handed at $10,000 and $20,000 with a $3,000 chip ante. Chris Wagner will start this hand under the gun. Bill Donnelly is going to fold. This is Sean Roberts. Sean is a past HPT champion from right here in the state of Oklahoma. We see him a lot on the HPT. He's a good guy. He's turned into a pretty good friend. He's going to raise it up with 10-8 offsuit.
I've been really impressed with Sean's play so far at this final table. I could see why he's a past HPT champion. He's been really good at mixing it up, and I think this is why Mark wants to defend 7-5 of hearts against him. Sean's definitely been getting into the action.
Sean's great at post-flop play as well. Knows all the tricks in the book. Here comes the flop.
The flop is 9-8 deuce rainbow. So Sean has paired middle pair with 8s. Mark hasn't flopped much but a gut shot and a possible backdoor flush draw.
Mark is first to act here, and he is going to check over to Sean. And Sean with middle pair won't be checking. Fires a bet of $48,000. And I suspect, Maria, that's going to be enough to get Mark off of this hand.
I think Mark is eyeing his draw possibilities a little bit and thinking maybe even a pair would be good. I think players sometimes have a tendency of putting people on high cards when they raise, and so when the flop comes kind of low like this, they're thinking, oh, well, you know, maybe if I hit my 7 or 5, it might even be good.
Well, Mark is going to put Sean to the test here. He's going to raise it, makes it $96,000. Another 48 for Sean to call.
And actually, that's not a bad play on his part. I think he's turning his draw into a semi-bluff here. And as I had mentioned, he kind of thinks, well, this isn't your flop. This is my kind of big blind flop. So he's trying to represent a bigger hand than he has, obviously.
If Sean didn't have middle pair, it probably would have worked. But Sean is going to call the 48.
And now I think Mark is either going to have to decide on the turn whether he wants to fire, turn, and river, but...
That would be unfortunate if he did.
Right, that is not a good turn card for Mark to continue this bluff.
The 8 of spades on the turn there gives Sean trip 8s. Mark still with a gut shot draw. And look at this, he's going to go all in, and that's unfortunate timing. Sean is going to make the easy call, show his trips, and now going to the river, Mark only has a 6 to save his tournament life.
Honestly, I really like this play by Mark. It was just really poor timing. As we saw earlier, Sean gives Mark a lot of respect. He folded kings to Mark's aces before, and I think that play would have really been effective had Sean not turned trip 8s.
Oh, absolutely. I think Mark did everything right here, with the exception of trying to represent what the other guy actually has.
Absolutely. So unfortunately for him, he's going to need a 6 on the river, or else he will become our 5th place finisher.
And that is what's going to happen. The river brings the 3 of diamonds, and Mark Martin's day is finished. He went out swinging, though. I got to respect that kind of play. And he is going to leave with a little under $12,000. Maria, he more than tripled his investment from this tournament. That's a good day at the office. Congratulations, Mr. Martin. And with that, we are now four-handed on the road to our newest HPT champion from the Indigo Sky Casino when we come back.
Welcome back to the HPT, coming to you from Wyandotte, Oklahoma, here at the Indigo Sky Casino. 4 players remain. Let's get back to the action. Maria and Fred?
For the first time this final table, we have a chip leader that's starting to really pull away from the rest of the pack, and that player is Sean Roberts with $1.3 million. Chris Wagner and Bill Donnelly both have about $800,000 in chips, and Eric Bishop is our short stack with $643,000.
And the short stack, Mr. Mayor, Eric Bishop, still with 32 big blinds in his stack. Plenty of room to play as blinds remain at 10 and 20,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. And this is the mayor of Bang, Texas. I'm going to talk to him, see if he can put a Fred Bevel statue right in town square. That'd be cool.
Get you a key to the city.
Something for the birds to poop on.
Eric raises with King 10 of hearts. He makes it $45,000 to go.
Sean Roberts peels back pocket 6s. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he's going to raise. Man, I suck at poker. He just calls.
Well, Sean is just going to defend his blind with 6s. And I think he just doesn't want to play a huge pot out of position with, you know, a mediocre hand. But it's a mediocre hand no more. The flop is 6, 10, ace. He's flop bottom set, and Eric has middle pair.
This could get dangerous for Eric. Both players check. The turn is the 7 of diamonds. Now, this is the street where things could get bloody. Sean is going to bet $60,000.
And Eric is definitely going to call this bet here after the flop got checked back. The river's the 4 of hearts, and luckily for Eric, this run out makes his 10s shrivel up just a bit, and I don't know if he's going to give this up or not, but 215,000 chips is a hefty bet, and Eric is going to have to give this some thought before he just throws it in there.
Let's see if the mayor can smell something foul in Denmark here and get away from this hand. Not lose any more money.
Sean hasn't really shown himself to get too out of line post-flop, and although it's unlikely for Sean to have a big ace in his hand as he just called from the big blind, he could very likely have rag aces, which gave him 2 pair, and even just a pair of aces is better than Eric's 10s here, so he might just give it up.
And he does smartly fold and saves himself a couple of $100,000 in chips. And I think Sean got as much value as he could out of that hand. If that ace wasn't there, he might have gotten paid big time. Chris will be first to act in this hand. He looks down at 9-10 offsuit. Another pretty hand when you're short-handed. Connecting cards, gap connecting cards, suited cards. The range really opens up when you get below 6 players.
And I like that Chris is going to raise this here. I'm a big advocate for when it's shorthanded to start being the one to play more aggressive.
Bill folds, so does Sean. Now we're over to Eric Bishop, or Mr. Mayor, if you don't know him like I do. He is going to call with King Queen.
The flop is 5-6-4 rainbow. Eric still has King Queen high and Chris is 10 high, but because Eric didn't connect with this board, I don't know if he's going to peel here with his overcards, but I think Chris missed a bet there because now Eric might think his hand is good.
The turn is the Jack of Diamonds. Eric's still checking, and now Chris will take a stab at the pot.
But now Eric has turned a backdoor flush draw, and he might even try to go for a check raise here on a semi-bluff.
Chris bets 50,000, and Eric makes a fairly quick call here.
Chris does what's called a delayed C-bet, where you are the pre-flop aggressor, but instead of making the continuation bet on the flop, you make it on the turn.
The river is the Queen of Spades. Eric always had the best hand, but now he's connected with top pair.
And Eric's definitely not going anywhere. It's just about whether or not Chris wants to stab at this pot.
Eric checks over to Chris, and Chris is going to fire what looks to be pretty big here, 110,000.
This is a good bluff by Chris, except for the fact that Eric did hit his queen on the end.
And Eric is going to make the call and table the winning hand. We've seen that early in this episode of the HPT already. Players doing the right thing just at the wrong time.
Usually when you make a delayed C-bet like Chris did, it's very easy for you to represent overcards, and Chris could have easily checked back with a queen or a jack on the flop, but Eric is the one who really had the queen this time.
Just a few years ago, we had all them girls from Oklahoma City up here screaming. When you get old.
Boy, Maria, you know, sometimes you play the hand right and it still doesn't work out for you. It's the recovery that separates the good from the great. Don't miss a thing here at Indigo Sky Casino. We'll be right back. Thanks for coming back to the HPT. We are at the Indigo Sky Casino in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. I'm Fred Bevel. This is Maria Ho. Let's get right back to this final table.
Sean Roberts holding steady as the chip leader with 1.57 million. Our short stack here is Chris Wagner, who has 565,000, just roughly 28 big blinds.
28 blinds approaching that perfect 3-bet shove stack size as blinds remain at 10 and 20,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. And it looks like action in this hand is going to start with Bill Donnelly. He's been quiet for a while here at this final table, and that's partly why. He's been getting pretty flat cards. He's going to lay it down over to Sean Roberts. He has Jack 9. He's going to fold.
I'm surprised to see Sean fold the Jack 9 on the button, to be honest. He has the chip lead, he has the momentum, and he plays really well, especially in position, so I'm not really sure why he's decided to tighten up here.
Eric is going to call from the small blind with deuce 5, and it looks like Chris Wagner is going to check his option with 7-6 in the big blind.
And the flop is 5-8-3 rainbow. Eric has a pair of 5s, but Chris has an open-ended straight draw.
Eric is going to fire, bets 20,000, and boy, an open-ended draw when you're short-handed. Might as well raise, but he's going to call.
And the turn is the 3 of spades. And if Eric checks here, it's not because he's giving up on the pot. He's definitely going to call a bet if Chris elected to do so, but they both check.
The river is the Jack of clubs, so Eric has the best hand unless Chris can push him off. And that's what he's going to try to do. He's going to fire what looks to be about 40,000, not nearly enough, Maria.
Sometimes when you play hands in the blinds, you really just don't give your opponent credit for much of anything, so I feel like Eric's just going to call here.
Betting so small into the pot on the river as a bluff is known as the post-oak bluff, coined by Doyle Brunson. Of course, Doyle actually hates that play.
And once again, Chris is going to get his hand caught in the cookie jar.
You know, disguising a bluff to look like a value bet will work against a tight player, but when you do it against a guy that's going to play by the math and he has a bit of the board, it's not going to work.
I think a lot of players look at what's in the pot and just think, you know, if I'm wrong, it's not going to cost me a lot, but if I'm right, I can win all of that.
Exactly. Blinds are going up. They're now 12 and 24,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. Sean wakes up with pocket sevens, and he's going to raise it to 65,000.
65,000, the raised total amount by the 9 seed. Over to the button now.
Eric, here with ace queen, is going to re-raise it to 180,000.
Eric started this hand with about 33 big blinds, so I believe he's 3-betting here to get it all in against Sean. And now it's just a matter of if Sean feels like sevens is good enough to 4-bet shove here with.
You can call me Bill. I call.
Sean elects to call instead. It's a pretty big pot forming here. Sean with the pair, Eric with the 2 overcards.
I don't know who to root for. I like both of these guys a lot.
Well, if Eric had king queen instead of ace queen, I know who you'd be rooting for.
That's true. You got that right, sister. The flop is 4-4-3 rainbow. No help to anybody. Sean 7 still good, but he's going to check over to Eric. And Eric's going to go all in, and Sean quickly calls.
And I am just not loving this shove by Eric here. He shoved for more than what was in the pot, and I think it's just because he wanted Sean to fold. I think he felt uncomfortable with playing post-flop against Sean, and after Eric 3-bet pre, he really seemed like he wanted to get this hand over, but I think there could have been so many other options and routes he could have taken, and this was not one of them.
Sean set him up perfectly, got Eric to do exactly what he wanted him to do, and now he just needs these sevens to stay good for the last 2 streets.
And the turn is the 8 of diamonds, no help to Eric. He's still looking for an ace or a queen.
If Eric doesn't find the ace or the queen, he is going to leave us in 4th place, and Sean is going to take a huge chip lead.
And the river is the deuce, and Eric is going to be eliminated in 4th place. It was a fairly easy call for Sean to make on the flop because I just don't think Eric was going to play a big pair like that.
The mayor is going to take over $15,000 back to Bang, Texas. One of the nicest guys we've seen on the HPT in a long, long time, and I hope we see a lot more of him. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor. And now there are 3 players remaining for the championship. The big money bubble has burst. The next elimination is going to go home with almost $21,000, but it's over $52,000 that these guys are playing for. And right now, Sean Roberts has quite the stranglehold on this final table. Chris is going to raise it to $62,000 with ace-8 offsuit. Action now on Bill, who's been very quiet so far, but not anymore. He's going to go all in with ace-queen.
And a call, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't like Chris's call here with 16 big blinds. Bill has been very, very tight at this final table, and I just don't think ace-8 is a good enough hand to call Bill's all in here with.
Well, Chris sees now that he is absolutely crushed. Needs to find an 8 on this board to stay alive, or he's going to go home in 3rd place. Yeah, as quiet as Bill has been at this final table, just been getting dealt flat cards. Finally, he picks up a hand, goes all in. You'd think these players would give him credit.
The flop is 3-4-4 rainbow. Bill is still ahead with ace-queen. I know that they're shorthanded and all, but I just think that Chris wasn't thinking long enough about what Bill's 3-bet shoving ranges are. They have to be much stronger than ace-8, in my opinion.
The turn is the king of clubs. 1 street remaining, and Chris's tournament life is on the line. Only an 8 will make him a winner, but there are a lot of chop outs, Maria.
Any king, any 4, any 3, or any ace will actually chop this pot.
The river is a jack, so no stay of execution from the poker gods for Chris Wagner. He is going to be eliminated in 3rd place and go home with a little under $21,000. He's standing by with James Larson to tell us how his 2nd HPT final table was.
Thanks so much, guys. I'm now joined by Chris going out in 3rd place, and we can sit here and talk about the hands, but really, you played great all day, and you're going home with a nice little paycheck.
Well, yeah, I had a couple of missteps. Definitely have bettered my last finish at the final table for HPT, and it was fun. I had a good time.
Had to feel good to get back here. Now, are you going to play more this year and try to get back and maybe win this thing?
Definitely going to play a couple of more, yes.
And one last question. What are your plans for almost $21,000?
We're still remodeling.
All right, folks, give it up for Chris. Going out in 3rd, a nice little payday for him. Freddie and Maria, we'll send it over to you.
There's been a lot of impressive play so far, and I'm sure it's only going to get better. More when we come back from Indigo Sky Casino.
Welcome back to the HPT, coming to you from Wyandotte, Oklahoma, and the Indigo Sky Casinos. We're finally heads up. One player will go home with over $50,000 and the HPT title. Maria and Fred, we'll send it over to you.
At the start of heads up play, Sean Roberts is sitting in the driver's seat with about 70% of the chips in play. Bill Donnelly isn't going to go down without a fight, though, especially since they're playing for the top prize of $52,000.
Heads up for over $52,000 in the HPT Championship. Blinds remain at 12 and 24,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. And heads up play, the button is the small blind and first to act pre-flop. Bill is first to go in this hand, and he is going to raise it with King Deuce suited, makes it 74,000 to go. Sean makes the quick call with 9-6 of spades.
The flop is 8-9 queen rainbow. Sean has a pair of nines. Bill has a backdoor flush draw and a straight draw, and he decides that that's not a great board texture to c-bet on, and I don't blame him.
The turn brings the 9 of diamonds, making Sean even stronger with trip nines.
And I like that Sean's gonna check here. Last time when he led into Bill on the turn, Bill folded, so I think now he's going to try to give Bill a chance to bluff.
Sean just keeps zigging and zagging in all the right spots. Question here is he going to raise, or is he just going to flat call and try to get one more street of value out of him?
He decides to raise because there are quite a few draws on this board now, and he wants to make sure that if Bill has one of those draws, that he's going to pay for it.
He does raise it, makes it 290,000 to go, another 190 for Bill to continue on in this hand. And Bill has no pair or a draw. He might just have to call uncle and muck.
And it's very dangerous when a player like Sean is not only making big hands, but knows how to maneuver when he isn't. And I can see this getting kind of frustrating for Bill, but I hope that Bill can stay patient and try to pick up some momentum.
Blinds continuing at 12 and 24 with a 3K ante. Bill looks down at ace-9. Good hand when you're playing heads up. And he is just going to limp in.
I like seeing Bill limp in with some big hands. It definitely is going to make it harder for Sean to put him on a hand.
Sean's going to raise it this time, makes it 65,000 to go.
And if Bill just calls here, it's going to disguise the strength of his hand to Sean. And the best part is if an ace flops, Sean is definitely going to represent that.
The flop is 10 queen king. So Sean connects with top pair. Bill has a gut shot straight draw.
And Sean outflopped Bill, but they're both going to check.
Oh, there's a scary turn. The ace comes on the turn. Sean is going to check. Bill is going to bet, not worried that there's 4 to a straight out there. Now it's up to Sean whether or not he wants to call 80,000.
And this is a scary board for both players, and that's why Sean's just going to cautiously call. The river is the 4 of clubs, and I think this hand's just going to go to showdown.
And that's what happens. They're going to table the hands. Bill is going to show the winner. And for the first time in your heads up, Bill gets to scoop a pot. It's time now for a Poker Life featuring legendary poker player Doyle Brunson. You know, back in the day, Maria, you know this, Doyle and his crew ran around Western Texas, and a lot of times they were running under gunfire and away from bad guys. When he found out that he had to move to Las Vegas, he sat down at the Binion's Casino and discovered a whole new level of safety and security. Here's a legend himself telling us about his first impressions of playing in Las Vegas, brought to us by our friends at Ace Play Poker.
The reason I always like playing in casinos is the protection. You don't have to worry about, getting cheated in the casinos because there's surveillance. They've all got cameras on the tables at all times. Anything abnormal, they can review it. And plus the floor people and even the dealers, most of them are knowledgeable. And I kind of take pride in remembering all that stuff from the old days. And there's been a few guys come in and tried shady tricks that, I saw. And maybe the dealers didn't, and the surveillance didn't see. I just call them aside and ask them not to do that. And usually they would just pick up and leave. Well, Moss was one of them. He knew, because he got barred from Vegas for about 20 years for cheating. They had some kind of a camera in the ceiling or something. I forget the story, but he got caught and he almost got killed. But they told him to get out of Vegas and don't ever come back, and he didn't for 20 years. That was, I think, when Gus Greenbaum was running the Flamingo, and I think he did some shady things, and he got killed.
Thank you so much for tuning into the HPT, and I hope you're enjoying tonight's final table coverage. It's time to step aside for a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to find out who our new champion is going to be as we are finally heads up here at the Indigo Sky Casino in Wyandotte, Oklahoma.
Welcome back to the HPT from the Indigo Sky Casino here in eastern Oklahoma. These players not afraid to drive the action. Let's get right back at it.
After the first series of hands heads up, it looks like their chip counts haven't shifted too much either way, but Sean Roberts, still holding the chip lead, has the momentum right now.
Bill Donnelly still with 51 big blinds in his stack. Plenty of room to play as blinds remain at 12 and 24,000 with a 3,000 chip ante. You know, Bill Donnelly started day 2 as the chip leader and came to this final table as the chip leader. But ever since the final table started, it has been the Sean Roberts show. And look at this, he wakes up with ace king, and of course he's going to raise it, makes it 62,000.
Bill Donnelly is not here by accident, but him and Sean definitely have very different playing styles.
Bill is going to make the call with queen 8 suited.
The flop is 4-8-3, 2 hearts. Sean has the king of hearts in his hand, but Bill has flopped top pair.
And Bill is going to fire top pair. He makes it 80,000 to go. Let's see how Sean plays ace king here. It's a monster hand heads up, but when it doesn't connect, it's just ace high. Sean is going to make the call.
And I think he respects Bill's lead into him here. I think you'll see a lot of players who are the pre-flop aggressor raise in these situations, but I think Sean feels like Bill might have something here.
The turn is the jack of spades. Still no help for Sean's ace king. Bill is still in the lead with a pair of 8s. And both players check through the turn.
And now the river is the jack of hearts, and if I were Bill, I would probably just check it over to Sean, and Sean's probably going to check back here with ace high.
Boy, you are good. They both check, and Bill is going to table the winning hand. And, you know, hats off to Sean. A lot of players overplay ace king in this spot and lose a lot of chips. He lost the absolute minimum here.
Ace king is good enough to call on the flop, and as you can see, it slowed Bill down for the later streets, and he got to see showdown.
Blinds are moving up now. They're 15 and 30,000 with a 4,000 chip ante. How about pocket queens on the button heads up? That is huge. Sean is going to raise it, makes it 70,000 to go.
Oh, and Bill has a big hand too. He has ace jack offsuit. Let's see if he's just going to call or if he's going to 3-bet here.
Two monsters colliding here heads up. Sean's got the best of it. And Bill is going to raise, makes it 160,000. 90 more for Sean to call.
If I were Bill, I probably would have 3-bet too, but Sean unfortunately just has a huge hand and he's going to move all in with it.
Wow.
Bill's in a tough spot here. The deciding factor for Bill of whether or not to call is going to come down to what he thinks Sean's 4-bet shoving range is here. Is ace jack good enough? Is ace jack beating Sean's range here? And I think Bill's going to come to the conclusion that it's not.
I'll call.
Whoa, he does not come to that conclusion. He makes the call. And look at this, Maria. Sean Roberts has him covered, so Bill is going to have to get lucky, or we're going to have Sean Roberts join the elite group of multiple HPT champions.
This is a bit of a cooler. Bill had 51 big blinds. I think he could have talked himself into getting away from it, but there's no doubt that ace jack is a strong hand and Sean's a very capable player.
Well, Sean sees the good news. He's ahead. The bad news, Bill does have one overcard with the ace of spades. Bill hoping to get lucky. Sean hoping the queens hold true throughout this board to become a 2-time HPT champion.
The flop is ace, 7-6 rainbow, and Bill pulls out, and he is way ahead now. Sean is going to need a queen or else we will play on.
You can see neither player much emotion after seeing that flop as the turn brings the 9 of spades.
Both these players have played cards long enough to know that it's not over until it's over. The river can bring anything.
Sean is hoping the river brings a queen. Bill hoping for a brick.
The river is a 5, and that is going to be good enough for Bill to double through Sean, and now Bill is in commanding position to take this down.
A little more than 3 million in chips in that pot, Maria, and with that hand, Bill now takes control of this heads-up match. The one-time chip leader now has a stranglehold over Sean Roberts. We'll find out if he can finish this off to the championship when we come back to the HPT from Indigo Sky Casino in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. Welcome back to the HPT from the Indigo Sky Casino here in eastern Oklahoma. We are now, Maria, heads up, mano-a-mano, fighting for the championship. Got a long way to go yet. Let's get right to the action.
And the pendulum has swung the other way in favor of Bill Donnelly. He has over 3 million to Sean's 662,000. Sean is nearing the danger zone with 22 big blinds now, but I'm sure that if there's anybody who could turn it around, it's him.
Couldn't agree more, Maria. If anyone can turn this around, it is Sean Roberts, but Bill is not a weak opponent by any stretch. Blinds are still at 15 and 30,000 with a 4,000 chip ante. Bill is going to limp in with queen 7. Sean is going to check his option with 9-5.
And after taking a beat like that for the win, it's really all psychological at this point. Sean needs to really regroup and focus on the task at hand.
The flop is 7-5-9. Things are going Sean's way right now as he flops top and bottom pair. Bill flops middle pair.
Bill bets and Sean moves all in. It's a big all in by Sean here.
I'll call.
Call has been made. We flip the cards over.
Oh, good hand.
And I think that's a big shove from Sean,
Clear
and
seven.
Bill
Come
could
on,
have given
Dylan.
it a little more thought before he calls, because even if Sean had an open-ended straight draw here, like 10-8, he still has 2 overcards to Bill's pair. And so I think Bill could have gotten away from this, but it looks like he just wants to end this match right here, right now.
Well, if he's going to do that, he's going to have to get lucky. The turn is a 4 of clubs. No help for Bill there. Sean hoping to fade one more street and double up.
And the river is the 3 of diamonds, and Sean is going to double up, and just like that, the gap is going to close a bit, and Sean's back in it.
Just like the doctor order, Maria, as you were saying a second ago, you take a beat for the win. It can affect a player. Best thing you can do is double up right away and get right back in it.
And I gotta say, that was pretty genius by Sean. I think he fast played it because he wanted to make it seem like he was on tilt from the last hand, just over shoving the pot there. And although Bill called because he had a piece of it, that probably factored a little bit into his decision as well.
Poker's getting more expensive. Blinds are now 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante. King Deuce of Hearts is good enough for Bill to limp in here. Sean with his newfound chips is going to raise it up with Ace Jack.
He makes it 90,000 to go. Bill's just going to call here in position.
On to the flop we go.
The flop is Ace King 6 rainbow. Sean has flopped top pair with a jack kicker, and Bill's flopped middle pair kings.
And Sean is going to fire. He makes it 90,000 to go.
Call.
And Bill not believing it. He's going to make the call.
No surprise that Bill's going to call at least the flop. Pot's now 370,000. I'd like to see Sean bet a little bit bigger now on this turn, but he's going to check and give Bill a chance to bluff at it.
The turn is the 5 of diamonds, so it doesn't help either player, and Sean must be right in Bill's head because Bill is doing everything Sean wants. He's going to fire 120,000. And look at this, Maria. It's a check raise from Sean. I don't remember him doing that at all at this final table.
And Sean is pulling out things we have not seen from him yet. I don't even know if that's possible. He's just about done everything you can think of.
Sean is going to raise it up to 300,000, and with a long sigh, Bill is going to fold.
Bill folds rather quickly here, not really thinking Sean could be bluffing in this spot. And I think Bill is just frustrated that he put more chips in and had the fold.
You know, now I think it's Bill that's going to have to keep his head straight. He had a commanding lead over this heads-up match for the championship, and, you know, that's slipping away with every pot here.
Bill calls from the button with Jack-8 offsuit, and Sean checks his option with 5s.
And the flop brings Queen 4-3 with a couple of hearts, neither player holding a heart.
Sean's 5s are still best, and he decides that he's going to lead here, makes it 40,000.
Bill with just Jack high is going to make the call for 40,000. Neither player folding to any kind of a flop bet here. Both seem pretty well astute on how to play post-flop poker. Another 3 of clubs falls on the turn. This time Sean's going to check.
And Bill floated on the flop and is now going to bet the turn. He makes it 70,000, but I think that because the flush draw hasn't really come in, Sean might still call him here on the turn.
Right again, Maria. He does make the call, and he does it with the best hand.
The river is the ace of diamonds. And Sean checks it over to Bill, and I think Bill can take another stab at this. Although Bill limped into the pot, he showed earlier that he limped in with ace-king, so it's very possible that he could have an ace in this hand, and it's going for a value bet here.
He is going to put Sean to a test of 200,000 in chips. Now Sean just kind of mulling over what he could possibly have. He makes the call, and he's going to see he made the correct call. And it's another healthy size pot going Sean Roberts' way. This time, Maria, a little over 700,000 in chips.
Sean is putting on a heads-up clinic here. He's folded at the right times, and he's called at the right times. And now it's just a matter of whether or not he could take this whole thing down.
One of these two gentlemen is going to be our newest HPT champion and go home with over $52,000 when we come back on the HPT.
Welcome back to the HPT here from the Indigo Sky Casino in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. 2 players remain. We're finally heads up. Let's get inside and resume final table action. Maria and Fred?
As you can see, the stacks have now evened up quite a bit. Bill Donnelly with 1.9 million, Sean Roberts with 1.7 million. Neither player is giving up here. This is going to be a fight till the end.
Virtually neck and neck now. This is a fun heads-up match to watch. Both these players have really earned the championship. Unfortunately, we only have one to give out. Sean Roberts has been in command of this final table most of the day, whereas Bill Donnelly held the chip lead all of day 2 and the start of this final table. So both these players have game.
Poker tournaments can't end in a tie, so...
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Doesn't feel good to get anything but first.
It's been a limp and a check pre-flop here as the flop comes 5-ace-7 rainbow.
Bill and Sean both have a pair of 5s. Bill's kicker is best.
The turn is the 5 of clubs, so now both players have trips. And Sean's got the bad kicker, so this is Bill's pot to win right now.
After Bill bets 70,000, Sean decides to raise to 200,000, and it's 130 more for Bill to call. And if I were Bill, I would just call and not re-raise here, just in case Sean is bluffing. You have to give him more rope to hang himself.
Yeah, no need to fast play a monster hand like trips.
I'm all in.
But that's what Bill is going to do. And of course Sean is going to make the call. Why wouldn't he? Both players holding trip 5s. Bill's got him out kicked. Boy, Maria, just like that, momentum can shift. And right now the momentum is on Bill Donnelly's side. He still has Sean slightly covered. So this river could decide our next HPT champion.
Sean's got quite a few chop outs though. Any ace or a 7 or any card higher than a 10 is going to chop the pot for him. And if he hits a 3, he will actually win.
Here comes the all-important river card. It is the 3 of spades, and oh my goodness, Sean Roberts, just like that, on the river, is going to pull the winning card and double up.
That is a crazy river card. I really like watching both of these players just stay so composed. Bill has to be unhappy about that, but he's not showing much emotion, and Sean is not rubbing it in his face that he just gave him a bad beat. These players are showing true class, and like you said, they're both champions to me.
Very well said, my friend. Blinds are still 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante. And oh my goodness, Sean Roberts wakes up with pocket aces. He's just going to limp in. And Bill is going to check his option with King 4.
And Bill Donnelly, after that hand, is down to 12 big blinds. It might be going all in on this pot.
The flop is 10, 6, deuce, rainbow. No help for Bill. Sean's ace is way ahead.
All in. Call.
All in, raise, and a call.
Oh, and it's a bad time to bluff for Bill. He's going to go all in. Sean snap calls with his pocket aces, and Bill sees he is less than 1% to pull this hand out of the fire.
He's going to need running 2 pair or running trips. And I feel like Bill has kept a cool head all tournament long. Unfortunately, I think he just lost it a little bit there.
3 and a 5. I just need a 3 and a 5. I mean, that's all.
That's all you need, Bill. I like this guy a lot. Will Bill Donnelly pull a miracle on the turn and river to suck out, or are we looking at our next HPT champion and one of the few to join the elite club of 2-time HPT champion?
The turn is the 10 of hearts, and Bill is now drawing dead. Sean is going to be our winner, and Bill did a really great job, and at the end he got unlucky, and now Sean is our 2-time HPT champion.
The river insignificant. Sean Roberts, our newest HPT champion, but hats off to Bill Donnelly. Played a great game. Came to the final table as the chip leader. Had some up and down swings, but maintained his composure throughout. Congratulations, my friend. He is standing by on the floor with James Larson.
Thanks so much, guys. Going out in second is Bill. Now, you went back and forth. What a final table it was. And unfortunately for you, the 3 of spades comes on the river. Talk about what went through your mind when you saw that card on the river.
I mean, I thought I had it. He had, what, a 2-outer? And, you know, I thought I had it, but anything can happen in poker. Yeah, he's a great player. He didn't make any mistakes that I saw, and I thought I played well. I didn't get many good cards today, but you know, hung in there and had a chance to win it. And after that happened, I just sort of gave up. I probably should have been a little more patient. You know, maybe something else could have happened, but he was so far ahead. But anyway, I had a great weekend. It was a great tournament, and I'm happy to come in second.
Yeah, I got to be happy to come in. You're going home with a nice payday. Shake my hand. It was a pleasure having you at this final table. That's Bill Donnelly going home in second place. Marie and Fred, we'll send it over to you.
Thank you, James, and congratulations again to Bill. Boy, really hard to pick a favorite. Both great guys, both great poker players. I got to admit, I have a soft spot for Sean Roberts. We've seen him a lot on the HPT. Congratulations, my friend, on another championship, joining the elite club of players that have won multiple HPT championships. He's on the floor right now with James Larson to talk about the play today.
Thanks so much, guys. I'm now joined with our new HPT champion. Give it up for Sean Roberts, ladies and gentlemen. All right, first of all, congratulations. Your second HPT championship. What a final table it was. How do you feel right now?
Other than exhausted, I'm just very, very lucky that things worked out, in my favor. All you guys saw, the stuff that was happening tonight, and, you had to survive some beats, you had to put some beats on some people, and luckily I was just the last one to, put a hand on someone, so.
Did you feel it slipped away there? Because for a while you had to have some doubts that you were going to make a comeback and be our champion.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I had gotten lucky and won every race that I was involved in until he hit the ace against my queens. And, those things happen in poker. I mean, it's just the way it is. But, at a final table, you're never really more than, if you've got chips, you're never really more than 2 or 3 hands away from being back in it. So, the key hand really tonight was not really even the 3, but the 9-5 right after the ace-jack versus queens that doubled me up right away, so that was really it.
But you have to admit, though, the 3 of spades is probably now your favorite card in the deck,
yeah,
right?
I'll remember that one for a while.
All right, well, let's wrap things up. You're going home with the cash, but real quick, your rail behind here. These guys were loud, borderline obnoxious, but they were having a lot of fun. Are you going to celebrate with these guys?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the beer tab's up to like 20,000, is what they said, so.
All right, well, I guess Sean's picking up the tab. He's going home with with the cash and the title, his second HPT championship. Give him a round of applause, folks. That's Sean Roberts. Freddie and Maria, we'll send it back over to you.
Thank you, James, and congratulations again, Sean. Maria, what a table this has been. I got to hear your take on how the play went for you.
I saw a lot of solid, strong play by all of the players at this final table, amateurs and people we've seen before alike. And I just thought that heads up, both players showed a lot of grace in the way that they took their defeats and their wins. And in the end, Sean Roberts was able to pull it out for his second HPT victory, but Bill Donnelly played a great game.
Bill Donnelly indeed played a fantastic game, and I'm sure we'll see him at a final table again real soon. Now, do you think you have what it takes to sit at this kind of a final table and play with these kind of players? Sure you do. Log on to hptpoker.com and find an event near you. For James Larson and Maria Ho, I'm Fred Bevel. Thanks for watching the HPT. We'll see you next time.
Sending you back, I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.